Hi, my name is Jenna Farragher, and I will be going over some keynotes for you in regards to MAP and MAP testing. Some of the key words we'll look at today are adaptive assessment, RIT score, zone of proximal development, and normative data. Hopefully you've heard some of these words before, and if not, I will go over them as best as I can for you. Our first key word is adaptive assessment. What is it? It is a test that's given to students that gets more challenging or less challenging based on a student's ability level. For example, student A, who is a very high-performing student in the classroom, takes a test and is challenged at grade level standards and does really well on the test. Therefore, the questions get a little bit more difficult and more challenging, and that student's score reflects the challenge. Student B, a lower performing student who isn't scoring as many questions correctly based on grade level standards, then the assessment for that student changes a little bit, but it focuses much more on where is that student at, where are their skill levels, and then the questions reflect what questions they're able to answer correctly based on which ones they're not able to answer correctly. These adaptive assessments are able to identify where students' skill levels are, it's able to identify challenges, and it provides teachers with individualized data. Our next keyword is normative data. It's an important keyword to know when you're thinking about the scores for MAP testing. What is normative data? It's information or data collected from a large sample size that represents a baseline for a particular population. So when MAP data is collected and the results are out, the baseline, meaning the middle or average of scores, is collected based on thousands of students all across the country. All of their scores are then reflected and looked at, and the middle baseline is collected from all of the different scores from students across the country. So when teachers are looking at their students' scores, they can know that where their students are scoring are in comparison to where students are at all across the country. So if a student were to move schools or change where they're at, their score on their MAP testing would stay the same. It would reflect the entire population. Our next keyword is RIT score. This is the score that you see, that teachers see. The normative data is what MAP people use to create the RIT score. So what is it? Well, it stands for Race Unit, and it is an interpretation of the data collected from MAP testing that measures students' ability, their progress, and academic growth from year to year. The scores range from 100 to 350, and they're tracked from year to year. So that means starting in kindergarten, if a student starts taking MAP tests, their scores follow them all the way through 12th grade. So if they move to another school, their score follows them, and teachers at other schools are able to see where they're at and really start helping them at their individualized level. So in addition to that, they're transferable, meaning they could move to another school and they would follow them. All of that information leads us to this last key word, which is really important. The zone of proximal development. What is it? It is the difference between what a learner can do without help and what they can achieve with guidance and encouragement from a skilled partner or teacher. What helps me learn or understand zone of proximal development a little bit more is knowing that the word proximal means close, and then by looking at this graph right here. So in the middle is what I can do. In the yellow, it says what I can do with help, and then in the white is what I can't do. This yellow is obviously close to what we can do. So with guidance from a teacher or a partner, we can learn and achieve new things, and that is the basis of the zone of proximal development. We know that the zone of proximal development is where instruction is most beneficial. And we know that this is just beyond students' capabilities. So when we look at this graph, we need to know where that zone of proximal development is in order to best teach our students. An example of this is when an entire class scored mastery using single-digit addition. Knowing that, the teacher then knows that they are ready to learn different addition strategies in order to reach 10 and more. So they've got the basis, they've got the background knowledge. Now they're ready to build on that knowledge. Just with a little bit of guidance and support, they can really add to what they already know. Now, why is all of this important for MAP? Well, we know that normative data is the data that really helps create that RIT score, making it accurate for teachers all across the country to use. And the assessment itself is reflective of individual needs. So it is tracking where each student is at skill level wise. So when we get the results, we get the RIT score, we really are able to see the zone of proximal development for our students, individually and class-wide. This really helps us teach where we need to teach. As an educator through MAP, it's my job to facilitate you and help you best understand what your RIT scores are, where the zone of proximal development is, and why these things are so important and so helpful for us to become the best teachers that we can possibly be. I hope I helped you understand these concepts a little bit more. If not, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll try my best to help you even more. Thank you so much.